Hello, I'm Richard Jacques Smith, reviewing an expanded version of Richard Jacques' score for 007 Bloodstone, James Bond 007 Bloodstone. And before I begin, I just want to say that my admiration for John Barry's scores for the films, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, You Will Live Twice, On Her Majesty's Secret Service, The Man with the Golden Gun, Octopussy, A View to a Kill, and finally The Living Daylights. What was amazing about Barry was his ability not only to do excellent music but to reinvent himself from one score to the next. This makes each one unique. There's a special love theme for each film and a special action theme. I mean, in A View to a Kill, He's Dangerous, which is also Snow Job and Golden Gate Fight. Fantastic. I mean, it just instantly grabs you by the collar. Now, regarding the video games, well, going way back in 1997, I believe, was when GoldenEye 007 on the Nintendo 64, just wow. And quite an interesting experience because I broke two controllers. And that was the only time it's ever happened. I nearly broke one playing Trek to Yomi early in the year, but don't tell anybody. So yeah, video games, James Bond. I think for me the gold standard at the moment in terms of what I've heard would be From Russia with Love by Christopher Lennox. What a fantastic score, old timey, in that vein of John Barry. Now, regarding James Bond 007 Bloodstone by Richard Jacques, it's more of like the David Arnold type thing, that wow, 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 Tomorrow Never Dies, Casino Royale. Sometimes I find him a little bit on the nose, Arnold, with his orchestrations. It's like a jab in the face. It's not really that endearing emotionally. And I would say that Bloodstone on the whole felt more intellectual than emotional. The action music is gratifying in small doses, and it's not a score that I listen to from beginning to end in one sitting by any stretch of the imagination. And indeed, the expanded release, which you should check out on YouTube, it's I want to give a credit to GNC Films for putting that on there. Over 2 hours of music. You probably want to make the cut-off point about 2 hours and 13 minutes after the end credits, which is the Bond theme, because the rest is just rehashes and percussion only and alternate takes and album versions of what's gone before. So Richard Jacques, I recently reviewed his score for Guardians of the Galaxy, which was probably my favourite of the year that it came out. Excellent score. And he follows, I would say, similar to what Christopher Lennox did on Quantum of Solace. It's not really changing it up a whole heck of a lot. There are some nice little touches. Some of the more romantic stuff is nice. There are some dead spots in the score though, some where the electronic filler and textures just goes nowhere. And then you get like tracks such as Yacht Club and No More Bets, and it all is forgiven. He definitely galvanizes the experience by putting in, the brass signatures, the wow, 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 which is interesting. I mean, it's not my favourite thing in the world, but okay. There's no choirs, though. Regarding vocals, Joss Stone's work on the song "I'll Take It All," superb. Eat Your Heart Out, Adele. I wasn't a fan of Skyfall, but yeah, this is it's a good score. It's not the best, and I'm glad I had a chance to sleep on this because I finished listening to it last night and I didn't do the review right away. I'm doing it now, of course, but I would actually mark it down just a tad, because even though it's not littered with filler cues, there are quite a few which don't belong and do lessen the experience as a whole. And when you're comparing the action music here compared to something like Octopussy or The Man with the Golden Gun, Living Daylights, the integration between electronics and orchestra isn't as well balanced and as emphatic as it could be. I think some of the electronics here are definitely on the droney side and don't really add much to the experience. But overall, I was mostly impressed by what Richard Jacques wrought for James Bond 007 Bloodstone. It's a score which has some replay value. There's definitely in keeping with more of the David Arnold side rather than the John Barry side of James Bond, and that's fine. David Arnold is not my favourite James Bond composer. I know he is for some, but John Barry will always be my go-to. John Barry, Monty Norman, Vic Flick, who are the original guys who came up with the Bond theme. I would say it's a shared credit between all three, even though Monty Norman tends to get most of the credit for it. But as I say, John Barry had a fantastic way with reinventing himself across the entire spectrum, from 1962's Dr. No to The Living Daylights in 1987. I really wish he'd done a couple more, to be honest, especially finishing off like Timothy Dalton's run as Bond with License to Kill. Michael Kamen took over for that. So overall, James Bond 007 Bloodstone by Richard Jacques is a good James Bond score. It doesn't change that much. There's some spectacular, if not exactly original, action music, some nice romantic material, a little bit of filler, but overall this is a decent, reliable experience that I think is well worth checking out in its expanded form. I give James Bond 007 Bloodstone by Richard Jacques 3 out of 5 stars. Well worth checking out. For more film and soundtrack reviews, please visit Betty Jo Tucker's website, Real Talk Movie Reviews. On Facebook you can find my pages, Hip-Notic Movie Reviews and Hip-Notic Soundtrack Reviews. I am Richard Jacques Smith. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.